Hey, welcome to Pretty Blunt. I'm your host, Jamie Lipowitz. I am joined today with my partner in crime, Sabine Schwartz, who's got all the hot gossip from the High Buds Club community. So, what's up, Sabine? What's going on?
So there's a lot of hot gossip always. The thing that I think is exciting though today is we have like personal hot gossip. The personal hot gossip is that brands can now join the feed as a member.
I'm kind of so obsessed with it. Yeah, it's amazing. So we have the High Buds Club feed, obviously, and we've got, over 8,000 Budtenders on the feed that come and engage with each other. And now we are opening it up that brands can join the feed and be able to connect directly with our members. To think of it as like a piece of digital real estate on the feed. Brands get to set up their crib, a little apartment, if you will. And it's up to them to like make it cool enough that the buds want to go hang out in the crib and want to go engage with them. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting. We already have like a handful of brands who have signed up and we're onboarding, which I'm stoked about. And I think, the feedback from the Budtenders has been so good and so positive.
Originally, I was like, oh, what if the buds don't want brands to be in their private spaces? What if they're hesitant to that? And pretty much since we started talking about it, every single bud tender has been so excited because they actually just want to ask questions directly. They immediately realized why this was good for them, which I think was really nice to see.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it allows the brands to show up in their own place and space, but
Yep.
still give the bud tenders autonomy, right? Like there's places on the feed that brands will never have access to, will never be able to see or engage with. Brands cannot message the bud tenders directly. So I think that, allows things to be a bit church and state. And I think it's going to be a really great way for the bud tenders to interact. And transparently, I think, brands spend a ton of money to have reps go into store, and that doesn't scale in the same way that this will. And so I think it's going to be a really great way for smaller brands to still get momentum, to still get that conversation and awareness going, introduce their products, and be able to succeed in the Canadian marketplace. So I think it's going to be a really great addition to the industry. And I think it's going to force brands to start thinking like brands and acting and showing up like brands and not just like a product on the shelf. So I'm really excited about it.
You and I have talked about real estate a lot, and you just made me think about this. Like, this is digital real estate in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And in my past life, when I was working brand side, it's difficult to target the right people in the right time because you only have a couple of external channels, like your Instagram, which is technically B2C, but like our consumers following us. And is it the right audience? And so truly, this is kind of cool because it's actually just you can do whatever you want. It's your space and your place. You can post anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a real benefit that you can invest in a channel and not worry about getting like zucked and
Yep.
having Meta, take your page down. So I think that's really great. But to your point, it's the exact right audience. You have to be a bud tender to be on the feed. We have a really good mix of bud tenders, buyers, store managers, right? So you have different levels of hierarchy that are influential to cannabis retail that you get to access. And there's a lot of bud tenders also, and this is what I think is so interesting. There's a lot of bud tenders that show up on the feed and don't engage, but they come and they read and they sign up to our events and they do things, but they're never in there like a keyboard warrior. But you're still getting their eyeballs and you're still getting their attention because they're not going there because Susan from HR told them they had to. They're going there because they want to, and they like want to see what we've got for them and what brands have for them. And I think it really is brands will be able to like plant a cultural flagpole in the space and bring a lot of energy and excitement to the community. So for the brands that would like to participate, my DMs are open. I'm stoked about it. And for the brands that don't, well, you're just going to watch the brands that do win. So there you go.
Shamelessly, the other thing is the labor hours, Jamie. Like the amount of labor hours that I have spent in my career, like making sure something isn't going to get zucked and like changing the copy 100 times, or like ensuring that it doesn't have anything in there that's going to get flagged because it lists a price by accident. actually, I think it would have saved me a lot of time to just not have to do that.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's really annoying to think
Yeah.
I'm going to spend all this time and energy and money on a channel and hope that the Instagram gods accept me. You want to talk to budtenders, you want to show up and act like a brand and engage. We're here for you. We've got your audience, so come find us and start acting like a brand. I'm excited about it.
Excited about it too. And so that actually segues into my next piece of hot gossip. Something that's been coming up a couple of times now in the session shares is the lack of proper materials, especially for innovations. And an example that I'll give specifically is the inhalers. We've been talking a lot about the inhalers in the session shares because it's a new format. It's specific dosing. It's like all of these things, but like managers don't know where to categorize it on their shelves. Like they don't know if it's an edible. They don't know if it goes in their wellness section. They actually have no idea where to put it because the brands have never told them this is actually going to go in your vape section because it's an inhalable.
You're leaving it up to chance if you don't give the instructions and the sales tools. I mean, this is the part where I go, brands need to act like brands and not be products on a shelf, because the inhaler is a product on a shelf. If the budtender doesn't know where to put it, doesn't know how to merchandise it, doesn't know how to talk about it or how to sell it, it's not a brand, it's a product. And so like brands have to start acting like brands or they're going to get the results of a product sitting on a shelf that no one cares about, has no demand, and no one knows why they need to buy it.
Well, and I think that's it. Like in theory, this is a really cool product, but you have to explain that so that it has the best chance to sell.
The market wants what the market wants. And often the market doesn't know what it wants. The market can be sold things. And so, I've walked into places having had no intention of things and something cool gets sold to me or it's new or it's innovative or it's interesting. Like I didn't know that I needed a red light mask until I needed a red light mask. And so there's all these things in other worlds that like were marketed and were sold and they're new innovations. Didn't know I needed it till I knew I needed it. An inhaler is no different as like a cannabis product. I see so much efficacy for that product in various places and spaces. The reality though is the budtenders need to be taught how to sell it. They need to be taught how to merchandise it and how to talk about it. And if you don't do that, you are leaving your success in the hands of people who have no background in marketing and advertising and being able to position a product properly. Like, why are you having the budtender position your product for you? That's your job. Act like a brand. Give them the materials. Or don't complain when you fail, because that's inevitably you're setting yourself up to fail.
It's not even that you're giving the responsibility to someone who doesn't know how to do this. We are brand people. All I do is think about my brand. I am an expert in my brand. You're expecting someone who knows nothing about you to like make it up. And that's just like not a good experience for anybody, This
is when I go back and I say, like, who's in charge? Who's in charge? Like, where is the accountability from a sales department or a marketing department or whoever is in charge of commercial? Who is in charge to guide the ship and deliver the materials? Because if you don't know that you need to deliver those materials, you shouldn't be in the job that you're in. Gadget, you're spending all of this time and money to bring a new beauty innovation to market at Sephora. You're paying slotting fees, shelf space, you're sampling, you're doing all these things, and you don't have the materials to explain what the product is, how the cast members or sales rep should be talking about the product. You wouldn't have that job. So why do we accept mediocrity in this world where they don't do the things that are necessary to commercialize consumer packaged goods products?
I think I want to break down commercialization, because that is a central thing that we go back to all the time. It's a product that's on a shelf, but it wasn't actually commercialized. It wasn't actually identified if it had a fit for the brand. And commercialization is getting the product to the shelf and off the shelf. Like, we need to provide the materials. Where's the tent card that is eye-catching so a customer wants to ask, what is that? How do I know about it? Like, where is the info it could just be a card that's in the case that says, here, 3 facts about this product that a budtender opens when they're doing inventory. Like, it's just the nuances and those tiny details that really matter.
Sure, but it's also doing the simple things well. So I get a lot of blanket excuses. Like, I think about one brand who literally told me all the things he wanted to do. I told him all the ways he could do it. And then he blamed it on the regulations that he couldn't do it. But like, maybe you should think of outside the box, or you should just do the things that you can do really, really well. It's like there's probably 3 to 5 things that need to be done perfectly in order to be successful in this world. And until you can do those 3 to 5 things, why are you adding on things 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? That's a nice to have, not a need to have.
What would you say are the needs to have if you have to give like your 3 to 5?
Exceptional product shots and marketing materials. So Jeeter is a really good example. I was scrolling on 1922 website the other day, and Jeeter had the best product shots. The product was very clear. You saw the jar that was like in the product shot, and it was like a very clear, like commercial asset that they had delivered, where everything else seemed to be stock photos or like not specific, didn't have a brand on it. So like if I'm scrolling, which leads me to my second thing is SEO assets and e-com assets. If I'm scrolling, well, I'm going to stop on the thing that catches my eye. And if it's all product shots and this one has a jar with color, well, you can do that. You can do that well, and that's in your control. But out of the 20 infused pre-rolls, there was only one that did that. So why is Jeeter the market leader? So that's an example of like marketing assets, right? So your in-store display should be eye-catching, should be clear, should not have an AI image of your product. It should be a real product shot. Every time you commercialize something, you should have a shot list and a package that you need to put together for your brand assets. That's number one. Brands do it, they don't do it well. So they check it off as, yeah, I did it. It's the same thing as, yeah, I gave away 3,000 samples. Cool.
I think when I see it, it's less about, it is a checkbox, but they think that some of the tools can be reused, and some of the tools can be reused. But right now, I feel like LPs are using their submission image, their Health Canada regulated image as their sexy e-commerce image. And those actually are different things. There's a very big difference between a product spec that goes through and gets an approval versus, again, that image that is eye-catching that a retailer can upload on their menu. Like, they are different, and I think they need to be thought of differently.
But this is all in preparation. If you're prepared to commercialize a product, you have a brief and a product shot list of all the things that you need for your marketing assets and your materials. If you haven't done the preliminary work to prepare for commercial success, you're not going to be successful.
You make it sound easy. Okay. What's your next thing?
Your package needs to be eye-catching. Even if it's sitting behind a shelf somewhere and somebody doesn't necessarily get to see it in the current framework, the package has to be great. Because what happens? Well, if I'm handed, 3 infused pre-rolls or all-in-one vapes, and somebody hands me the Super Toast package, well, I'm picking that every time. Because it's perfect. It's cute. It's interesting. It's bright. It looks fun. So even though that's behind in a drawer somewhere, well, they bring out 3 products to show me, I'm picking Super Toast. So I would say having great packaging is important. When I was a kid and I used to go to like Shoppers Drug Mart, and I would go and I'd look at the beautiful packages on the shelf, right? Of the hair products or the lipstick or whatever, always pick the package that speaks to me. I do it at Costco. I do it at Whole Foods. I do it at Loblaws. Like when I'm looking at food on a shelf, I pick the most beautiful pear of the bunch, right? Like, so it's no different in packaging for the product, but everyone seems to go to the same supplier, buy the same tubes or the same Mylar bag or, whatever it is. And there's no differentiation, none. You think your logo, like a tiny logo, tells a customer you want to buy it? So like, I'm going to go back to Super Toast. Why I love the Super Toast packaging. Well, it's literally shaped like a piece of toast. In regulation, totally compliant. That's number one. It's a fun color. I like the font. Like, it's intriguing. It's interesting. So packaging is number 2. So perfect assets on marketing, and then your packaging has to be great. What else needs to get done well? You need to be able to train your retail partners and educate them. So you don't need to give them a ton, but you do need to give them 2 to 3 little selling tips. You need to talk to them about why your product is different, and you need to give them some sort of training that allows them to effectively speak about your product. Nowhere in there did I say you had to give a sample. There's all these things that people are doing. They're doing all these extra things. And it's not to say that sampling is not important. Of course it's important. You are not focusing on the 3 things that your brand needs to do to succeed. And then you're layering all these other things on top of it. But how do you layer on top if your foundation sucks? Your house crumbles. So like everyone's chasing Jeeter, but all they do is put out a product that's similar, that's cheaper. They don't try to compete with Jeeter in the reason Jeeter is successful, which is Jeeter acts like a brand.
If I can summarize and add, number 1, product marketing. Your product marketing materials need to be good. And it's product marketing, and marketing is the important word. These are not product spec materials.
Imagine you launched a lipstick with Sephora and you gave an AI image for them to put on their website of your package, as well as what the color looks like on various skin tones. Imagine.
You would get roasted alive, and brands do get roasted alive.
But why does every cannabis brand do that?
I think everyone gets complicated and they're like, oh, I need a shot list and a brief. I know it's 5 images that if I'm really good and I really need to, I can take on my iPhone in my lab because they all already have good lighting. If you really need to, it is 5 images that look nice. It doesn't have to be a whole production. It is things that just do the work they're meant to do.
I often find that a lot of this industry is keeping everything to themselves. But why do you think that you can do something better than people who have proven that they know what they're doing and can be successful at it and then help you succeed? Apparently, I don't know how to grow weed. Steve from 67 Sins, teach me how to grow weed. But they come to me to teach them how to market and sell their products. Let's start putting people in roles that they know how to be successful at instead of just people who love weed. Because loving weed is great, but it's a widget in a bag. How do you market the widget and sell the widget to the people who want to buy it? And that's the question that I don't think people are asking. Fire, it's going to sell. Okay. There's 300 red lipsticks on Sephora.ca. How are any of them different? And how do they get sold? It's not their features.
Okay, so first thing, marketing, product marketing materials. Those are important. There's a few basics that you can just cover. It is your product descriptions and a few sexy images that can be reused on your own socials and for e-commerce purposes. The second thing you said was packaging, which I do agree. I think it's so important because every industry is packaging focused. Like everyone's always going to try to say it doesn't matter. That's how we buy wine. That's how you buy books. That's how I buy everything. The thing that I want to add to your example about packaging is another one that does a really good job, Tuck Shop. Because Tuck Shop is aware that the packaging goes home with you. And that is a part of that experience where the customer takes it home and knows how to use the product.
Right, because they have that insert in like their all-in-ones or whatever in how to use the all-in-ones effectively. Yes, I'm going to double down on that, and I will say this. Tuck Shop and the Carmel team are consumer focused. So they're thinking about their end user and how they're going to enjoy the product and ensuring that like when the customer gets home and sits on their couch and opens up their thing, that they know how to use it and they have the best possible experience. Other brands are not customer focused. And some of them, I don't even think they're industry focused. They think the budtender has to love their products and they market to the budtenders without teaching the budtenders even how to talk about the products and sell the products.
Well, so that's the third thing.
Yeah, go.
It's the education. I've been told by people that are close to me and far away from me that they don't have time for education. And I would argue that it's one of the 3 fundamentals.
Then what do you have time for?
Well, I fully believe that good education solidifies everything else. Once you have a good piece of education, you can train your internal teams, you can train your external teams, you can reuse that messaging 100 different ways. Having a one-pager that says, here are 3 ways to sell this product and here are 3 questions to ask, here's 1 line to use when someone gives you pushback, that's all you need. That is literally actually all you need. It does not have to be that more complicated than that, because you don't need to explain indica and sativa to a budtender over and over.
I agree with you, but I again think people have been put in roles that they are not adequately trained to be able to do. There's no industry sort of like training ground to bring people up into. This has never existed before. And that's the part that I think is like frustrating, is it has never existed before. And we behave as though this is an industry, beauty, like bev alc, like tobacco, where there's all this consumer knowledge already in place and people know what they're looking for, what they want. They don't. There's no great resources on the internet. So like brands don't act like brands. There's no website. Most brands don't even have a website that's effective. They might have a landing page, but it's not an effective website. And they don't take the time to commercialize properly. It's a mad dash to be in market. They cannibalize themselves. You know, the life cycle of products is so short. But I would actually question, if you commercialized less but better, would you be more effective?
Like, you have to be able to say no to good ideas. It's just a part of running a business. It doesn't always fit.
And it might not be a no to the idea. It might just be a no for right now. The timing doesn't work right now. We've got too many things on our plate. But, you know, we have clients who measure once and cut twice. And then we have clients who measure twice and cut once. And so it's interesting to see how people view commercial strategies, because let's talk about Cronos for a second. We've been working with Cronos now for like 3 years, pretty closely. And what I love about Cronos is they measure twice and cut once. When they launch something, it has been tested, it has been researched, it has been pulled apart and put back together 27 times to make sure that it's the best possible version of the product going to market, and they're showing up correctly the first time. Where we have other clients that launch are quick to rush. They're quick, they launch it. Complaints, this didn't burn, this wasn't good. Okay, let's go back and fix it. Okay, now we're here again. Try this now. And I think it really comes down to perception. Like, if I'm a customer and I'm buying a Spinach or a Lord Jones product, odds are I had a great experience because it was tested a million times before it ever came to market. But if I'm buying several other, I'm not even going to call them brands, I'm going to call them products. If I'm buying several other products, odds are I'm not buying them again because it didn't burn properly. It canoed. I didn't like the taste. The battery was shit, or whatever the thing is, whatever reason I didn't like it. Well, because you have one time to make your first customer impression. And we're so quick to get to the shelf, to get shelf space, to win this like perception war that the consumer loses because you're putting out a garbage product. They're going to buy it and then they're never going to buy it again. So what's better long term? What's actually going to help you still be here in a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? We talk about being the Coca-Cola of weed all the time. You know, the Walmart of weed, like whatever part of the industry you're in. Yeah, it took Coca-Cola 100 years to be Coca-Cola. McDonald's, you know, these huge, massive Amazon, these huge brands, 20, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, like takes time. What, you think just because you have $5 billion in the bank, you're the Coca-Cola of weed? Okay, let's see if consumers trust you and want to buy your products and come back over and over and over again. That's how you become the Coca-Cola of weed.
To summarize, we have clients that use the consumers as testers. And it's really hard to recapture that because the market will unfortunately tell you if that product's not good, like once it gets there. We have clients that use the market as their test, which is fine. The ones that are the most successful, we see launch innovations 6 months after everybody else launches an innovation and come to the table with materials.
Well, because it's done properly. Like, yeah. If you can't tell me now, walking into 2026, we've been at this for 7 years. If you can't tell me now what your big bets are or what you're focused on or where you make your money, I don't know, you're playing a guessing game. And from the seat that we sit in, well, it just tells me you don't know what you're doing. You're going to commercialize a brand new innovation that you are first at and not give the budtenders any materials when a case is $700. Get out of here.
Well, Jamie, I think that's a perfect place to end us for the day.
I was about to say thanks for having me, but thanks for joining me. Okay, Sabine. Well, this was great. Happy day.